A lot of slow thinking. Hi there. So good evening. It is another yarn from the farm, and tonight I have got Ash-Leigh Campbell with me from Ngāi Tahu Farms.
Welcome, Laura. How's it going? Thank you for having me.
Good. So we are catching up on the back of your recent fantastic success of becoming the 2020 Fonterra Dairy Woman of the Year.
Yes, it's been a massive whirlwind the last couple of weeks, and I'm really appreciative of all the people that have reached out and contacted me to congratulate me. It's been completely overwhelming, and I feel really honoured to have received this award for 2020.
And you've certainly went through the whole process in a way that where it's going to be very memorable. Nobody else will quite have experienced the same, because you went through the whole process during lockdown as well.
Yeah, it seems quite like surreal, really. I mean, I'm sitting exactly in the same spot right now. I'm talking to you when I found out that I was the award winner. I was sitting here in a dress in the middle of lockdown with my flatmate, because she was the only person in my bubble, and we were sitting here wearing woolen socks. So it was glitz and glam on top, but super comfy on our feet. Yeah.
So can you tell us how the process actually went about when you were in lockdown, how it was different compared to normal and what you had to do to go through the competition process?
Yeah, well, normally the Dairy Women's Network have a conference, and so all the members and that come together, and the sponsors and the partners, and we have a big awards gala where everyone gets glitz and glammed up. This year was obviously a little bit different, and unfortunately, you know, myself and the other two finalists, Heather and Nicole, weren't able to make it all together face to face, whereas like historically we would have had interviews and mixed and mingled and had a big celebration together, but this year we're all celebrating from our bubbles. I know that a lot of the Dairy Women's Network regions and groups from around the country all had their own bubble celebration parties and had Zoom webinars and all that to celebrate together, although at a distance.
Yeah. So you had to do all of your interview process over Zoom and everything like that, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, getting into the interviews, I just was like, I'm not going to over prep for this, because, you know, I wanted to be my authentic self. And so I just kind of came into it. I mean, I was expecting probably only 3 or 4 other people on the other end of the Zoom call. So I was a little bit surprised when there was about 7 or 8 other interviewers on the other end of the line. So it was did make me a little bit nervous at the beginning. But I just kind of got into my groove towards the end, and I really wanted to bring my authentic self across in the interview, because, you know, I didn't want to be someone that I wasn't.
Yeah. So your current job role is technical farm manager. So can you tell us firstly a little bit about Ngāi Tahu Farming, and then also what your job entails on a daily basis there?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm employee of Ngāi Tahu Farming, which is a iwi-owned corporation here in Te Waipounamu, which is the South Island. We currently have around, just over 100,000 hectares in our portfolio. And so this is broken down into the various different enterprises. So we've got over 50,000 hectares of forestry, commercial forestry, predominantly on the west coast of the South Island, but also pockets through other parts of the South Island as well. We've also got another company involved in that as well, called Proceed, which is based up in North Canterbury, and that's where we grow and develop a lot of the seedlings for the Pinus radiata market and all that sort of stuff as well. Moving onwards, we've also got our high country stations down in Glenorchy, so about 30,000 hectares there. Obviously, really big tourist spot down there now, maybe not so much after COVID. It's a real gem down there, and it's a Tonga asset to iwi, so significant to us in regards to the Pounamu trails. Predominantly, we've got some merino sheep down there and some beef as well. Moving on to that, the majority of the rest of our operations are based in North Canterbury, which is our beef grazing operations in Balmoral, up in Culverden, as well as Te Whenua Hou and Airwell Forest. And the team that I'm part of involved is the dairy division, so which is also at Te Whenua Hou and Airwell Forest. So specifically, I'll talk probably a little bit more around dairy, because that's really where my passion lies and where my job sits. And so we've got 8 dairy farms out there, predominantly milking anywhere between 950 and 1,100 cows. we're looking, all the dairy farms are the same. So but about 75% of the herd, 80% of the herd is Kiwi cross, with the balance being about 20 to 15, 25% of Jersey Friesian animals. So we supply 2 milk companies, Fonterra and As-Leigh. We also have an A2 strategy with our As-Leigh farms, supplying A2 milk, as well as being a part of their Lead with Pride program as well. Each of the farms have got 4 staff members. They each run a 64-barrel rotary dairy shed with automatic cut removers, all the bells and whistles with ProTract in that. So it's really quite a nice operation to be involved in. My job title, the technical farm manager, probably a unique job title. I don't know how many technical farm managers there are out there, but I really enjoy my job. So I work alongside our farm managers, providing them any sort of operational support that they need from day in, day out to manage their farms. So one day I can be out on the tools, potentially scanning or drafting through the yards our young stock, or the next day I could be sitting behind a desk in the dairy office helping our farm managers, ensuring that they're utilising the technology in the best way that they can out on farm. The next day I could be sitting behind my desk doing a few emails. The next day I could be out representing the company. So I guess the best thing about my job is that not one day is the same. And I think that's what I really enjoy about my job, is that, I get out and about. Well, maybe not so much recently, but yeah.
So lots of variation. And by the sounds of it, sometimes kind of the mum of the operation a little bit as well.
Yeah, we have a bit of a running joke between me and the farm guys that I'm their work wife, but they don't tell their wives at home that. And secondly, they call me their mum because they know not to mess with me and that I'll keep them in line. But, that relationship didn't happen overnight. I remember the first 6 months probably in this role, I just made sure that I did as I was told and, let them run the show a little bit. Until I really had my feet under the table and that they could respect me a little bit more. So it's been a long and slow game, but we've got there now.
So coming back to you saying it's a long and slow game, I think your journey to being at this point is actually quite interesting, because you came from a lifestyle block originally, but you came into the dairy industry just because you were looking for an after-school job that paid a little bit better than your friends had.
Yeah. So, I didn't even know it was possible to have a career in dairy back then. But, I was really fortunate. My parents bought me a vehicle in my later years of high school. But there was a catch with it. That catch being that, if I wanted to drive it and all that I needed to go and get a job to pay for the fuel and the registration and all that sort of stuff. So, starting to develop and grow me into an adult. But, I was pretty conscious around my time. So I didn't really want to be working as a checkout chick. I think back then they were earning $6, and I don't want to be doing that, working Saturdays, Sundays, and all that alongside my other friends. So I actually applied for a job for a local dairy farmer 5 minutes down the road in Lincoln. And so it's a funny story actually. I showed up to the interview, and now my name's Ash-Leigh. Now that could be perceived as a girl name or a boy's name. And so I rocked up to the interview. Which was, I rocked up in the farm and it was like, oh, okay, right, you're a female, okay, cool. So he's like, right, the interview was milking the cows. So we got in, milked the cows that afternoon, washed down the yard, finished up the interview. I always remember this. And at the end of the interview, he was like, look, I'm not going to be offended if you don't want the job. I can completely understand. And I was like, what's the problem? And so and then it just kind of snowballed from there. And so I relief milked a couple of days after work through my high school years. I was raking in the coin. I was earning $14 an hour. So it worked pretty well for me. And then it just kind of snowballed, I decided to go to university out of high school, didn't really know what I was doing, what my was. Wasn't for me. Bombed out a year after. Really wanted to live overseas. So running, one of the skills that I so I took the opportunity to become a dairy assistant for another local farmer in Dunsandel, just south of Christchurch. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. And, yes, I was relief milking for a couple of years after high school, but that's a very minimal task. And so really getting a full-time job in the dairy industry, starting to really appreciate and understand those early starts in the morning, long hours, long days, and all that sort of stuff. It really gave me a real understanding and depth of, what the dairy industry was about. Now, a lot of people, shy away from the dairy industry, and there's this perception around long, hard hours and all that sort of stuff. But I remember in my early days thinking, I actually really like what I do. I had friends at university that were still studying that were like, what am I doing here? I don't even want to study this. I'm raking up a massive student loan. And I always remember having a moment of sitting back and reflecting, like, I actually really like what I do. So maybe I can make a career out of this. And that's kind of where it began. And it's really snowballed since then, the last 10 years.
So more than anything, would you just say that, your real why behind the journey that you've started of career and professional development just comes from the love of the industry?
Yeah, I've always had a passion. There's never been a day that I'm like, I want to change sectors. I want to jump out of this and jump into something else. I mean, I said it once before in a recent interview. I was like, the dairy industry stuck with me for life. I don't know what my future, I don't know what roles and opportunities I'm going to take in the future, but I really love what I do, and not one day. I mean, the last 10 years, I've just kind of, and then I mean, I guess on the back of the Fonterra Dairy Woman award, it's really given me a sit back and want to sit me down 10 years ago and be like, this is what you can achieve in 10 years. This is the career opportunities. This is the ladder that you can climb. I would have been like, wow, that's really and so I really just hope that if anything, winning this award, I can showcase to other young females and males out there that there's so many opportunities available in our sector.
And you would get presumably quite a good chance to interact with other young farmers because you're the chair of the New Zealand Young Farmers.
Correct. Yeah. So I've held this role now for 2 years, and it's been a complete deep dive into governance. I was successfully appointed to the board 2 years ago down in Invercargill at our AGM, and so I was just stoked to even get onto the board. 1 month later, I was appointed chair of the organisation. So, like I said, it's been a real deep dive into governance, but I wouldn't have had it any other way. I've learned so much the last 2 years. It's really springboarded me into governance, and I've grown a lot in that time as well. And it's been really awesome to, take those governance opportunities that don't usually arise to the younger generation, correlating that with my day-to-day job and what I do in that space, and so they've worked really nice hand in hand, which has really contributed to my leadership pathway to where I am today.
Yeah, so you've certainly got a lot going on, and along the way as well, you even did another degree whilst working at Ngāi Tahu Farms as well, and you balanced the two and worked along that direction as well.
Yeah, so I, like I said, I went dairy farming full time in my very early 20s. I think I was only about 19, 20. And then it came, around, I think about the age of 24, and I'd done a few years, I'd ended up working my progression up the ladder, like I said, managing a dry stock unit up the foothills of Canterbury. And so it got to about the age of 24, and I was like, I know that I had the practical skills, but I could see the way the industry was tracking and changing. And I thought, really to ensure and give myself a secure future in leadership, that I needed to go back to university and get some paperwork behind me. So I made that conscious decision at the age of 24, 25 to head back to Lincoln University. I had the plans of going back for 1 year and doing a diploma in ag. I got completely sucked into the system. So I did my dip ag in 2015, followed by my dip farm management in 2016, and then I was really fortunate, got offered a summer internship with Ngāi Tahu Farming, and so that was really cool because it kind of opened my eyes up to the corporate world of farming, and and then it kind of snowballed from there. And Ngāi Tahu Farming, they supported me through, hey, look, we really think it will be best for your career if you actually go back to university and complete your degree as well. And so through 2017, through to the end of last year in 2019, I got my degree part-time while I got my degree part-time while working full-time as well. So yeah, it's been a busy few years through my 20s, but like one of my mottos that I've always stuck to is work hard, play hard. And so really putting that effort in, Monday to Friday and working your ass off, and then making sure that you have that downtime and that social time in the weekends with friends and whānau and all that, and creating and ensuring that there's that balance. So I think I would have burnt out otherwise.
Yes, well, I mean, when you actually look back at what you've done in the last 10 years, it's pretty phenomenal when you sort of even put it down on paper, I suppose, as well, where you've come.
Yeah,
But
and I guess that kind of whole reflection thing, because I think, so often we're looking forward, where we're going tomorrow, where we're going the next week, where we're going the next year. And so often, I mean, I always try and make a conscious decision to pause and look back and acknowledge what I've done and be proud of what I've done, because, so often we get a little bit embarrassed about our achievements. And, I think we should be proud of our achievements.
Yeah. Interesting you say a pause to really think about it, because I was just about to say, but I'm hoping you're having a little bit of a pause now before you head on to the next stage of your professional development, because having won the Dairy Woman of the Year, you are supported with some funding to go off and develop yourself and work on your next sort of pathway to where you want to go with your career. And what are your thoughts on, maybe once coronavirus has settled down and things, has that affected where you want to go with this?
Yeah, in my interview, when I originally spoke to the interviewers, I really discussed the idea with them around, overseas opportunities, potentially in America, looking at some of the business courses available through the universities over there. Definitely acknowledge that, coronavirus might potentially put a delay or a change on those opportunities. Yeah. And so, I'm really looking forward the next couple of weeks, sitting down with Dairy Women's Network as well as Fonterra, and, making a plan for the next 12 months. I'm more than happy to start small, to start local, whether it's, using these sort of forums, webinars and that, and connecting locally here on the New Zealand stage, and working with, individuals and connecting with farmers nationally here in New Zealand. But yeah, no, if the opportunity definitely arises, I would love the opportunity to head overseas and look at the global markets of that. Fonterra has obviously substantial footprint, not only in Oceania, but moving into East Asia and all that as well. So, we learn about it in the books at university, where New Zealand fits on the global stage and supply chain and all that sort of stuff. But I believe to really grasp an understanding of that, I do need to go and uptake those overseas opportunities. So fingers crossed, it might not be in the next 3 months, but I would hope, down the track that those opportunities do arise. And I would hope from that I can come back here into New Zealand and talk to, the farmers and have a really in-depth understanding of what New Zealand's perceived like on the global stage. Because, I think often we give ourselves a little bit of a hard time here. I think actually what we're achieving is amazing. Definitely, we are environmental leaders when it comes to farming on a global stage. Our food safety is phenomenal as well. And so, like I said, I think we're a little bit hard on ourselves, and sometimes we need to give ourselves a pat on the back and know that we are doing good, and keep pushing forward and trying to achieve, those big audacious goals.
Yeah. So alongside, taking that time for a pat on the back, I think we also, in the recent lockdown, we've also become quite aware of our gratitude for living in a rural environment, rural communities. What would be the things that really stand out to you, Ash-Leigh, about the lifestyle that we lead and what you're so very grateful for?
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough for me these days. I recently purchased a house, so I live in the city now, so I get the best of both worlds. Yeah. And often there is this urban-rural divide, but I don't think it's like that at all. It's what you make it out to be. And so, yeah, I may live in an urban space and in a town and have those opportunities for Uber Eats and Lime scooters and all that sort of stuff that's convenient. Yeah. But my job, and you've got to love what you do. My job leads me out in, the farming landscape and the rural landscape most days. And so that's really what I love the most about it, is that I can have a foot in both doors, and it doesn't have to be a divide. It's what you decide it to be. So I love that about, I guess, where I kind of fit into things these days. But don't get me wrong, like I do get very envious, and I do often miss those, those gorgeous farming sunsets with the hills, and just definitely down here in Canterbury. I mean, we have some pretty awesome sunsets come autumn across the Canterbury Plain. So I do miss that, and I do often miss the irrigators swinging around through summer and hearing them going off in the distance. So yeah, it's a bit different, but hey, hopefully I can return to that space in the future.
Yeah. Well, thank you so very, very much for coming on to talk to us tonight. And I cross fingers that hopefully sooner rather than later, you might be able to hop on that plane and go exploring the world over the next year. But thank you so very much for chatting to us, and yeah, good luck for all your adventures coming up.
Thank you so much for having me, Laura. I really appreciate it. I just thought tonight's an awesome thing, and what you're trying to achieve here with this yarns, I think it's awesome. And I loved your hashtag that you used on this announcement today. What was it? Yarn Farm for Yarns or something?
Yarns from the farms.
Yarns from the farm. Yes, I love that hashtag. I hadn't heard of it before, so I definitely used it on my social media today. So I'm going to probably steal that one off you every now and again.
Well, thank you very much. It's nice to hear positive comments and feedback from it. So thank you very much.
Cool,
okay,
thanks,
thank you.
Bye.